Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So, working on filling in the fairy's body here. Probably finish that today. Maybe not necessarily on camera, but yeah, and then sort of the area to the right of this is a lot of the same color, so I'm going to stitch that off camera because I think that would be boring for you guys. Oh, I think I parked this one incorrectly, didn't I? Yes. Let me see. Yes, I parked that one stitch over where that should be. Good thing for grid lines. Yeah, and then just, yeah. One reason I like to grid by sewing on my grid is I can count from the other lines too. They're not covered. So, yeah, gives me an extra cross check to make sure I am correct. Yeah, I say I make fewer counting errors with parking, but I'm still going to make them sometimes. So this makes it easier to fix them. Yeah, it was funny in one of the Facebook cross-stitching groups I'm in, her husband got, the lady's husband got interested in trying it. And she's like, oh, okay. And she said, and, you know, gave him a tip about fixing mistakes. And he says, oh, I'm not going to make mistakes. Like, okay, honey. Come back to me once you've actually started stitching. I think you'll realize that's just not possible. You're not a machine. You are going to make mistakes. Well, heck, I remember telling that to my kid. He can be really hard on himself for making mistakes. Gets that from me. But I said, you know, everyone makes mistakes. I said, even actually machines make mistakes. Computers crash, you know. Absolutely nothing can be perfect. There's always anomalies and outliers for anything. Yeah, I kind of joked we should have named our guinea pig Outlier because she definitely is one because, yeah, like I said, she's 8. They usually live 4 to 6 years, so. And she is still here and still healthy and still alert, yeah. She doesn't run around or popcorn much, but yeah, she is still pretty darn active. Okay, so I'm gonna head over to the left and start working my way back out again. That's generally how I do it. 3053. Perfect. Let's see. Wow, this piece is super short. I'm not sure if it's long enough. I think this is one I saved, and we'll see if we can use it or not. Yeah. I think it's a little shorter than the shortest I usually go, which is 5 inches, which is enough to do a loop start and a pin finish. Woohoo, yeah, that is. Oh, maybe. That's really close. Well, look at that. I was able to be super miserly with this. There. Oh, discovered just how far I can go. I actually had some times where I put the eye of the needle through for the very last stitch just so it was just long enough to and then I actually had to tuck it through the back using the eye first again because it was so short, but I did it. Yeah, I actually saw one stitcher on YouTube that she said she doesn't turn the needle when she stitches. So, you know, normally you bring the needle up, turn it, put it back down, turn it, bring it back up so that the point of the needle is always going first. But she actually did it so that when she came up, it was with the eye of the needle, and then she'd go down with the point of the needle so that it was, she said that her thread never twisted that way, which I thought was really cool. I tried it though, and again, it was kind of awkward, so I gave up. And I'm kind of wondering if you're working on higher counts, would that be harder to do, as the eye of the needle tends to be slightly wider than the point, and so you might have more splitting of your existing threads that way. But I don't know, maybe when you get enough practice that wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, I love seeing all the different ways people stitch. It's pretty cool. You know, we may end up with the same looking finished product, but how we get there, the journey of how we get there, is different. Yeah, it was kind of like, I was listening to a podcast about romances, and they said that's how it is. They say, yes, people say it's formulaic, but I mean, that's fine. That's not what you're reading it for. We know how it's going to end, and it's the journey of how you get there that's what we enjoy, which is absolutely true. Because like they said, if you what she called break the contract with your reader and like kill off one of your characters or something, like, people are going to be very mad at you. You can't market that as a romance. Romance means there has to be a happy ending. They said it doesn't necessarily have to be happily ever after anymore these days. It can be okay, happy for now, and you could see it working out. But yeah, there has to be a happy ending. Yeah. Even if you break my heart in the middle of the book, I better be happy by the end of it. It was interesting too, because they said a lot of the writers that they have interviewed on that podcast, a lot of them started out as lawyers, and the host was remarking that, you know, maybe it's similar because they're used to writing briefs where there's a structure that has to be followed, and the details may be different, but the basic structure is the same, and then how the books are kind of like that too. Oh, got a knot there. Or she said maybe it's just that after, you know, working with legal terms all day, you need to go the exact opposite and immerse yourself in a bit of a fantasy escapism world. Who knows? Yeah. I read a lot of romance, and I don't apologize for it. Yeah, she's also saying too, it's like, I will watch fantasy, sci-fi, love them, but I don't read them as much. And then she mentioned it's about world building, because on a screen, they do all that work for you, right? And in a book, you have to build the whole world in your head. You know, what the environment looks like, the buildings look like, you know, the people look like. When you're reading, when they do it in a movie, it's all done there for you to see. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. Or why sometimes we prefer to stick to similar genres, because we know the basic rules of the world. But then that can get frustrating, because I said so many of them are Regency, and the hero is always a duke, which kind of annoys me sometimes. I said, it doesn't have to be a duke every time, you know? I mean, come on. I said Pride and Prejudice, one of the most beloved of the genre. The hero is just a mister. As is his best friend. Okay, 3024. Yeah, I actually really like the books of Mimi Matthews. She writes more of the ordinary people of that time period. Her heroes are like, you know, vicars and curates and, you know, more working class people as opposed to, you know, dukes and duchesses and all that. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed those. Yeah, I took a chance on her one Christmas. She had out a smaller novella called A Holiday by Gaslight, which was set in like, I'm thinking Edwardian times. But yeah, and I quite enjoyed it, so I've been keeping an eye out. Whenever one of her books is on sale, I snap it up. Yeah, she wrote one that I really enjoyed that somebody recommended to me called Fair as a Star, which actually tackled the topic of depression. Of course, this was, you know, back when they knew far less about the brain than we do now, even though there's so much we don't know still. But yeah, I quite enjoyed that one. Yeah, it was funny. One of my friends was, she had to study Pride and Prejudice for her English lit. And she said, oh, this book is hard to get through, which I admit, yeah, Jane Austen's writing style can be a bit, quite a bit of brain work to read. It's, so I said to her, well, you know, there's a adaptation that did really well, very faithful to the book. I saw the adaptation before I read the book, so said that the BBC did back in 1995 with Colin Firth and Jennifer Ely. I said, you know, you could watch that instead of reading the book. She said, oh, great. Went to the library and then to borrow it, and then she said, you didn't tell me this thing is 5 hours long. I said, sorry, I know, but it's such a huge book that it's hard to cut it down to smaller than that. I said, yes, there is the, you know, Matthew McFadden and Keira Knightley version, but there's a lot missing from it because, I mean, you just cannot, oh, there we go. You just could not get all of it into a, you know, 2.5 hour movie. It's a lot of detail. So. Yeah, I think Emma Thompson did a really good job with Sense and Sensibility because she wrote the adaptation and of course also starred in it, and there were a few embellishments to the original book, but it was pretty close. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I didn't find the pacing too fast or too slow. So yeah, I recommend that one. I'll watch pretty much anything Emma Thompson is in. She's so talented. Okay. Okay, there's a lone stitch down here, and I'm thinking I can, yeah, I can just have enough. So I'm gonna do a little tacking pin stitch there to keep that in place so I don't accidentally pull it loose by the time I get there. See, there's still quite a few colors here to work my way down towards that. Well, let's see if we can get you to come out, yep, without tangling. Excellent. Guessing we're gonna get her bottom wing there. The bottom part of her wing there pretty soon. 3840 will be in my second tub. Yeah, it was funny. Somebody pointed out that my favorite show, Deep Space Nine, premiered 30 years ago this year. I was like, what? Oh my gosh. How is that possible? But they said that's the problem. The year 2000 broke our sense of time. You know, as far as our brains are concerned, it's been the year 2000 forever. You know, when were the 90s? 10 years ago. Oh, no, wait. Nope. I said, yeah, the real Y2K bug was how it broke our brains. Oh, dear. Yeah. It's like, I know logically, obviously. It's been, you know, over 20 years since that happened, but I swear, it's like I'm surprised every time I realize it. Yeah, that's why, like, how is my kid turning 16 this year? Didn't I just turn, like, 21? Nope. No, you didn't. Yeah, I swear, I think my dad freaked out about when I turned 30 more than he did. Or than I did, you know. He said, well, it's like, after a certain age, you don't really count your own age, but when you realize how old your kid is, you know, then it freaks you out. It's like, yeah, okay, I can get that, especially now that my son is getting, you know, to his later teens. Yeah. It's like, wait, wasn't it just yesterday we brought you tiny little thing home from the hospital? And now you're taller than me. Oh my. It's funny, I have to be careful now. He likes to use his noise canceling headphones a lot, because when it's really loud it kind of overwhelms him, but then the problem is he won't hear you coming and then get scared, right, if he's in his room listening to something. So the other day I sort of, you know, called his name quietly and he didn't hear me, so then I started sort of clapping loudly, and then he turned around and said, okay, I guess that's what I should do instead of coming into the room, give you a little more warning with the noise and vibration. Because I know how much I hate getting scared when I have headphones on. I had one time I was cleaning and I had mine, and my husband came home unexpectedly, and I came around the corner and he was there, and I just about had a heart attack. Oh dear. It's like, I thought I was in the house alone. I was not. Which is why a lot of times I don't use headphones so much anymore. Or when I already know there's other people in the house, so I won't get freaked out. Because, yeah, it's funny, like I was going over my subtitles. I always, I don't rely on YouTube's automatic captioning. I always go through and edit it to get it as accurate as possible. And I'll listen to it on double speed. And then my husband's like, why the heck were you talking so fast? It's like, no, it's on twice speed. I mean, I might be able to talk that fast, but I don't normally talk that fast. I'm wondering where I use this color again. Maybe it's on a Deku link, or Goron link actually, probably. His body's kind of a tan brown color. Yeah, in the game, how you can, if he rolls fast enough, his spikes come out. And I often said, I wish I had something like that for my boots in the winter here. You know, if you could press a button and spikes come out of it for when you're walking on ice, and then, you know, they could retract when you no longer need them. Because, yeah, we get some sunken sidewalks around here. And in the winter thaw, then they collect water like a little pond, and then it freezes over, and then it snows on top and you can't see it, and then, yeah, step on it and go flying. I've had that a few times. And then when you look like you're trying to break dance, trying not to fall. Oh dear. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some juggling back and forth here, I think. So I'm gonna try and do this, all these 9 symbol stitches with one long thread. Yeah, but that's okay. You could see one where there's a gap, so that's where I'll take a little break, start a new thread, I think. Well, if you've watched me before, you can probably guess what I'm gonna do. This thread was, as you can see, an older one that was wound on a bobbin, so it's got kinks in it. I don't do that anymore, but yeah, once I switched over to my envelope system, but I still have some older thread to use up. Yeah, there was one YouTuber I saw, she would actually keep a damp sponge and pull her threads through it after they came off the bobbin to help ease the kinks out. So, yeah. She said she'll often prepare a few of them and then let them dry, sort of get them ahead of time and then let them dry while she stitches with others and then use them once they're dry. So yeah, that's an idea if you are really concerned about getting the kinks out of your thread. Because yeah, I do notice that they caused more problems with knotting. Unfortunately, of course, that still happens, no matter how much you try to avoid it, but there we go. And then I'm going to start a new one of this color, 3746. Yeah, quite a lot of this color here. As you can see. As usual, sometimes it's stitch one in park, then switch, stitch one in park, then switch, but I like the neatness of it all and the methodical nature of it. I like how my chaos of all these hanging threads becomes a nice, neat set of stitches. Something satisfying about it. I think my food delivery is here. Oh, maybe not. Sounded like someone was walking up the walkway, but maybe they were heading to the neighbor's house. Usually my food delivery doesn't arrive till the afternoon anyway, so yeah, it just depends. Yeah, I absolutely love my meal subscription box. It's made cooking not so dreaded of a chore anymore. Because I've often said the cooking itself, even the cleanup, isn't that bad. It's the mental load that really weighs me down. Of having to decide what to make and make sure I have all the ingredients and having to make sure, you know, the food that you've bought, you use it up in time. And so having the meal kits for half the week is kind of nice because I don't have to do that. Just open up the kit and assemble it. Probably gonna split up this a bit. This end symbol stitches. Yeah, because there's quite a lot of them, so sometimes I stitch across the whole big area in one go, and sometimes it gets split up. It just sort of depends. Unthread that because I won't get to it. Oops. Meant to be in this mode. There. So yeah, I won't get to it for a bit, so kiddo goes back to school soon. They had their break later this year. Their last day was like the 22nd or the 23rd of December, so yeah. I bet it extended quite a bit into January. Where'd I put my scissors? Ah, there they are. I generally keep them in my lap, but sometimes they end up on the couch beside me instead. Which I have to be careful. I had one time I did that, and when I went to grab them, I got a bad scrape across my palm. That was not fun. These are just kind of a little lumpy there. There we go. Again, just me being a picky perfectionist. I also find the stitches look a little messier when you've just completed them, and then sort of once they've had a chance to sort of sit for a bit. They look a little neater. I'm not sure why, but at least that's been my experience. Okay, no more further down. Let's see if this thread is enough to do them all. Only want to pick up the one. Oh yeah. In fact, there'll probably be some left over. Yeah, so as I've said before, not fully diagonal, kind of diagonal-ish. It depends on the shape of the pattern, the way the colors go. Okay. $30, $32. Okay, $38.61. once kiddo's back to school, my plan is to finally finish washing and ironing and mounting my last finished piece. It's sort of an all-day project, so I like to do it when I'm home alone, so nobody's gonna bug me for anything. Okay. Although, I mean, he's older now, so it's a lot easier than when he was younger. Oh my. This is being uncooperative. My stomach is being very noisy today, and I'm not sure why. Haven't eaten anything unusual. Yeah, I made a mistake, and I accidentally bought pork pepperoni. We don't really eat pork. Doesn't agree with us, so I usually buy beef or turkey, and I grabbed 2 packages from the beef section and didn't pay close enough attention, and someone had put one back wrong, and yeah, it was a pork one, and my husband didn't find it till after he'd eaten a bunch, so oh dear. Yeah, his stomach was not happy with him. So, well, he said he'll take the rest of the package to work and let the people who do eat pork there eat it, so. Okay, so yeah, here's where I said I was going to split up this section a bit. Kind of feather this edge here on the right hand side, although I used to stitch by page, so it was left straight and I didn't have a problem, but it can help avoid lines if you've had problems with it. Oh, pardon me. So now I can do some of these in it. Now I didn't close in the stuff above it. Pardon me. Yeah, and then once we finished the fairy, we're gonna get into Zora Link's hat there. Already did a bit of it on the last diagonal. Yeah, like whatever form you're in this game, he has Link's hat. It was funny because when I played Ocarina of Time after having played this one, I kept on trying to burrow into the Deku flowers, forgetting that you can't do that in that game. Yeah, it's kind of like playing the Sonic the Hedgehog games, the Sega Genesis. Really dating myself there. And in the very first game, you had to build up your speed to do the Sonic loops. And in later games, you were able to start it by pressing one of the buttons, and then I would forget. And if I played the first one again, I kept pressing that button, trying to get him to start his power start, and it wouldn't work. Okay. Okay, hug this corner a bit. 30, 33. 22.8%. Nice. Should definitely hit 23 today. A lot of colors in this area here. A dozen of them in this square. Square of 100. Maybe more than a dozen, yeah. I think this is the bottom of her wing coming up here, so that's why there's so many colors. Fair amount of detail to fit into a smaller space there. Okay. I don't know, maybe my stomach is a little upset because I had to take a lot of anti-inflammatories for the last week while I was dealing with my neck issue. Thankfully, it's feeling much better now, but yeah. I know those kind of medications can be really hard on your gut. Okay, so let's see. Well, these are, yeah. I'm probably going to have to add another thread at some point because these are both probably too short to cover all of the ones in this area. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, I was looking over my Ocarina of Time pattern yesterday and realized there's no fairy in there. Navi doesn't appear in it. Yeah, it's got Princess Zelda and Sheik and all the sages and stuff, but yeah, no Navi. Poor thing. She played quite a major role in that game. Goodness. Perfect. I'm going to run out of thread just as I run out of stitches. Love when it works out like that. Okay, end of thread, start a thread. Only 14 left of this color. It'll be 12 once I do these, but they're not in this area, so no zero for a while. Yeah, like I said, I had 2 zeros, but that's been it so far. A couple of colors that were on the center of Tattle's body there. There, so I filled in all those stitches because I wanted to be able to do these 3 one after another and then tie it off. Oh, no, that's not correct. Yeah, I just realized I was too close to the grid line. That couldn't be right. Did any of you see that? We're like, no, don't do that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fill in all these stitches to the left of this number 9 run there, and then I'm going to see if I can do them all at once. I may need a new piece of thread because the one that I have parked there is not very long, so we'll see. Okay, and then this letter K stitch. Come on, there we go. Okay, good. Now, let's see how many we can get done with this piece of thread before it runs out. See if we can manage to get them all or not. Well, we'll see. It's going to be close. Oh, I think we just might get it. Awesome. The really annoying bit is when you have just enough to finish and then it knots up on you and the knot will not come loose and you have to cut it out. So then, yeah, you didn't have enough thread after all. I hate when that happens. Excellent. Disappear into the fabric like it's supposed to. There, that's better. I think the threads are twisted around each other and that's why. Okay, that's still long enough. I could get another couple stitches out of it, so I'll save it. fairy's almost done. I think I have short piece, yeah, for these three that are kind of by themselves here. And I think that's going to bring us, yeah, to a nice even number. Oops, try that again. That'll bring us to 160, so I think that's where I will close this session out. Yeah, that seems like a nice stopping place. Fairy's pretty much done, and we're at a nice even 160. So as usual, thank you for joining me today, and thank you so much for all the lovely comments and likes and everything that you guys have been leaving. It makes my day. So I'm so honored that you enjoy spending time with me, and I hope to see you here again another time. Right, thanks everyone. Bye.